Every year, Lexus sends us an ES sedan to drive with different engines under the hood. And I hear they're going to send us another one. And let's look at the price range, starting at 42 grand, going all the way up to the 50s. And we just got the paperwork. Looks like they're sending us a 300H. That means it's a hybrid. So here's the beginning price, and I see, as always, we have options. And please note the $1,215 one there. That's for the triple beam LED headlights. We'll have to take those out in the dark and see how they work. And we will. And here's the other stuff. And the total tab. No safety rating yet. And these are made in 4 factories: Japan, Canada, Kentucky, and India. Well, I guess Kentucky's better than India. Just an opinion. We also did a video on the Toyota Camry hybrid. We have a link for that video at the end of this video. And we did a video on the Toyota RAV hybrid. We have a link for that one as well. So you're getting 3 hybrid tests for the price of 1 free. So our test facility and storage locker. Let's open the door, roll this baby out, and see what it looks like. Now it looks like a Lexus ES. The styling hasn't changed much over the years. Pretty decent looking. This is a long vehicle, at least in appearance. As we do in all our videos, we're going to take the headlights out in the dark and see how they perform, and especially in this case, since we have these $1,200 LEDs. That should be interesting. Don't break them, I bet they're expensive to replace. And we want to check and make sure there's a spare tire at this price. There should be, and there is. In the ES series, you have 3 engine choices. The base one, a 2.54 cylinder, putting out 203 horsepower. Top of the line is V6, putting out 302 horsepower, one of my favorites. And this one here, the hybrid, putting out 215 horsepower. However, don't let the low horsepower number fool you. There's an awful lot of torque coming from this electric motor battery system. At low speeds, this pulls very, very good. No lack of power. When driving around town at speeds under 30 miles per hour, it pulls about as good as the V6. Almost. And here's the official claim. 43, 44, 44. We'll take this out in the real world and see if this is true. We do realistic fuel economy tests on this channel, not the phonies you see on YouTube that drive the car for like 5 or 10 minutes after they bought it from a dealer. And they give you some phony number or just show you the EPA numbers. We don't do that here. Which is why you should be watching my channel instead of theirs. On the F Sport, you have a knob here for normal, custom, eco, sport, or sport plus operation. Sport plus on a hybrid. Do we really need that? No, we don't, but they better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. We get a large info screen. Very simple climate controls. A conventional shift stick. If you swing it over to the left, you can shift manually if you choose to do so. This is a CVT transmission. A bit better than the other types used by other manufacturers. The sunshade slides around to block out sun from the side windows. Some cars you can't do that, amazingly. The glove box space is rather pathetic, but if you take the owner's manual out and stick it back in the trunk, underneath the floor where the spare tire is, it'll be out of the way forever. You're probably not going to read it anyway, although you should. The auto-dimming mirror has a disconnect switch. We'll talk about that when we do our night drive later, if you have not seen our night drive video. Hey, we get a real clock. It's kind of hard to see. There is a heads-up display. That was $500 extra. It will go away as soon as I find out how to turn it off. Overall, the quality of the cabin's pretty nice, but yeah, I think it could be a bit fancier for what we're paying, but it's adequate enough, I suppose. Room for 2 adults in the second row seating. I see we got a little dirt on here from my laundry basket. We'll have to wipe that off. Part 1 of this video, show and tell is over. Let's go out and do some driving. Lexus was the first manufacturer to engineer electric steering to make it feel like hydraulic. They did a very good job too. Too bad the Germans haven't been able to catch up, even after all these years. Nice power steering, you won't have any complaints. As you can see, we got some reflection in the windshield from the dash. Nothing serious, just annoying at certain times of the day. You'll get used to it. As we're doing all our videos, we're going to take some mild speed humps around 15 miles per hour, see how the suspension performs on impact. Bump number 1. Smooth enough. Number 2. Bit of thumping from the larger wheels and tires, but nothing to complain about. Number 3. And the nasty one. Slightly felt it, but no big deal. I could be wrong, but I've been playing with this HUD adjustment for way too long, and apparently you can't turn the system off. Only adjust things, and it will not go away, but I have a solution for that. Normally I would stick a sock down there, but my camera case will do. Well, I got rid of it permanently. Since this hybrid system is only put out 215 horsepower, just a bit more than the 4-cylinder, you wouldn't expect brisk acceleration, but actually with the electric motors we have with the hybrid, we get a lot of bottom end torque, and at low speeds and low RPM, actually this vehicle's got a lot of grunt. It's not going to win a drag race, but it's very peppy at low speeds. Moves up pretty good. Nice brakes too. And when you change from sport mode to normal, eco, you get a nice light show. The other community, one thing I like about the Lexus ES series is the solid body structure. It's really built like a tank. No rattles, no creaks. Of course, that's what we're paying for. You know, I've been driving this all week. Doesn't matter if I'm heavy city traffic, highway, expressway. 38.4, 38.6. So let's reset it and take a highway trip. There we go. I've taken this car on the expressway, keeping the speed around 65 miles per hour, maybe 70. Getting around 42 to 43 mpg. Pretty good, but now on the interstate, at least 75 miles per hour and doing a bit of passing. I suspect the numbers might be less, but we'll find out soon enough. This is a very comfortable highway cruiser for long trips. Very solid, reasonably quiet. Great for long trips. Well, we were getting a solid 41 miles to the gallon, but I did a bit more passing than I should have been. So the number is a bit lower than what I prefer. Well, 39.9, not too bad. We'll be taking another trip tomorrow night, so don't go away. Let's reset the computer and do another highway test. About 120 miles worth. Just a note, it's pretty cold outside, at least for this area, in the mid-40s, so hybrids don't work very well in extreme weather, extreme heat or extreme cold, so I suspect our fuel economy might be less than our first trip. We'll find out soon enough. That was a nice 120-mile trip. Let's see what the number is we're looking for. Well, 36.2 mpg, that's still better than the 6-cylinder ES 350 we had last year that did 29 on the same trip. So that's my take on this Lexus ES after a week of driving. This is a very nice vehicle, been perfected over time. I like the V6 model myself, but if you're going to get the smaller engine, the 4-cylinder hybrid is a better choice than the standard 4-cylinders. It has more power, better fuel economy, more pleasant to drive. 3 choices. Take your pick. And we did a night driving headlight test video on YouTube already. If you didn't see that, here's part 3. See if these $1,200 headlights are worth the extra dough. Okay, it's dark enough. Let's check out these headlights. and to see if they're worth the extra 1,200 bucks. Here's what the taillights look like. Not very big, but bright enough. And the emergency flashers, again, not very big, but bright enough. A small light on the outside mirror. And the front being drowned out by the headlights. Turning off the headlights, now they're much easier to see, of course. And the rear. And I guess the ones on the mirror are bigger than what I expected before I was looking at the side, but from the front, definitely more to see. But the transmission reverse, and this is what we see on the camera. All the cabin switches and buttons light up pretty good. Inside door panel. And when you put the car in normal, sport, or eco mode, get a nice light show. And we do have a heads-up display. There are kinds of controls on the steering wheel to rearrange this in various forms, but I cannot find a way to turn it off. I don't think there is. Well, there is, actually. Just stick something down the slot. There you go. Now it's gone forever. Now getting to the headlights. We're on a wall 30 yards away. Very, very bright headlights on low beam, but not very high. Should be reaching over the bushes and not. Let's go to high beam. Okay, now we're talking. But low beam, not so much. And when you turn the steering wheel to the left, we get the puddle lights. That's what they call them, puddle lights. To light up the rain puddles, I guess. You don't step in something. I call them the wino lights. You don't run over somebody sleeping on the pavement. Our dark, dingy street test. No lights. Low beam. High beam. Yeah, the high beams work great. Low beam's adequate. If you watch my videos, you know I cannot stand auto-dimming mirrors unless there's a disconnect switch, because I do not want to drive in heavy city traffic with blacked out mirrors. It's not safe in my opinion. But we do have a disconnect switch here, so not a problem. The one problem I do often find with high output LED headlights, though, on high beam there's always a ton of light to blind everybody in the neighborhood, but on low beam they figure, well, we don't want to blind somebody, so they cut off the lens so short that kind of defeats the purpose of having a high output headlight. The low beam right now is okay for city driving, but for anything else you really need to put it on the other setting and try not to blind people as they're coming on. By the way, this does have an automatic headlight setup where the little computer determines when the headlights should be on bright or not, and if you don't want to keep flicking on and off for high and low, just put it in automatic and let the car do the work. And the automatic headlight setting is on the steering wheel stalk. Press it, turn it on. Press it again to turn it off. So let's get on the freeway. See how these lights perform. High beam, low beam. And the high beams are doing a great job of lighting up all those signs way down yonder. And when driving in the dark, dingy streets like we have here, the brights definitely do a better job of lighting everything up. So how do these LED optional headlights compare to the standard headlights we get on the ES? I don't know, because I've never been issued an ES with the standard headlights. I always get the LEDs, so this is how they perform. And are they worth the extra $1,200? That's a matter of opinion. Probably not, but on the upper level ESs, they always stick this on as a mandatory option, so you might not have a choice. They're not bad lights, though. Look at it that way.